Hey folks! Welcome to another episode of The Thief and the Necromancer. I'm Strash. I use he, him pronouns. I'm one of the regular streamers here. You can find me on Twitter at StrashA. And I'm kind of excited because I think last time we decided that we're going to have some weird, spooky sea adventures on our way to like a new land, new continent, new city. So I am looking forward to that. Luke, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm as the resident spooky sea voyage expert. I'm fucking all about it. Hi, I'm Luke. My pronouns are they them. You can find me on Twitter at Wildwoods Games. I'm a game designer and I do other stuff. Um, yeah, and I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to today. Judd, how you doing? How's your evening going?
I'm well, thanks. Yeah, looking forward to seeing what these folks get embroiled into tonight, and what Luke and I can riff off of, and it's fun. It's a different. I was trying to describe it earlier. It's just a very different vibe. I feel like this would be a great game for a starting GM, and it's also a neat game. But it's a neat game for me too. Like I'm not a starting GM, but it almost is like an exercise machine that I'm not familiar with. So like there are weird muscles that I'm like, oh wow, this is different. I don't know. And in some ways I'm like, oh, it's different. I don't like it. And then I'm like, oh, but I do like it. But hey, I don't know. I'm feeling feelings. Lauren, how are you doing?
Yeah, it may be like an acquired taste is what you're looking for. I don't know. But hi, I'm Lauren. I use she, they. I'm at the Stray Kiwi on Twitter. And today I'm playing Morgan, who uses she, her, and she is the thief in our adventure. She's very nimble and fun. And I'm looking forward to getting into some dark, spooky stuff because it's always interesting being that kind of character when you've got a necromancer friend and all the dark shenanigans are going on. Anyway, I guess I'll toss it to our volunteers for. No,
Actually, it's us. We got to do so.
Yeah, that's not our job.
No, it's not your job. Sorry.
How dare you? How dare you, miss?
we were trying to figure out a spawning circumstance thing that we're supposed to use, and you had some. So I know last time I kind of drove the plot really hard because for like 2 sessions we had random escapades and I was not getting any of my like ingredients to further my wizardly studies. And then last time it was all spookiness and all wizardly ingredients. So I have new spells now. And I've been studying very diligently, but I feel like I'm good for whatever you want to do for a spawning circumstance. So Lauren, I know that you were reading through them real fast and like making some suggestions. Do you have one that you prefer for this one?
Yeah, I guess it depends. Do you feel like being thrown into some shenanigans immediately, or
whatever you think is fun? I am probably down for. So
because I did see one that I thought might play off of like some sort of sailor superstitions for a sea, which is that we are perfectly innocent, but someone has imagined one or both of us have committed a slight or a crime, and it's not coming for satisfaction. So I could see if we are at sea, perhaps our presence on the ship might be somewhat suspect to more superstitious sailors.
Okay.
How does that sound to you?
I think that I've been doing a lot of studies that involve blood and the remnants of the dead, and there have been spooky noises for sure, because one of the spells that I am learning is well, among other things, it visits unreasoning terror upon people. So, so clearly, my spookiness factor is at like 10 right now. So, yeah, I think some sailor superstitions could be interesting. I'm just a little worried because there's not a lot of places to run away on a boat. Because our MO so far has been walk into town, try to do something, have things go downhill, run away, go to a new town. And if you're on a boat, you can't run away to a new town. So this might be exciting. All right, is that our spawning circumstance? Do you want to read it one more time just to kick us off?
I also feel like before I do, we've played around with dreams in the past and some of these shenanigans. So I wonder too if like your practice and study has like touched upon some dreams on the ship, and everyone's like having some kind of
nightmares or strange. I mean, it is theoretically possible. I am studying some weird stuff, and my studies are taking me down a hall that says that I need to find a wizard, like an actual wizard, not a necromancer, a wizard. And yeah, so I mean, it is possible. That is possible.
I guess we'll plan to find out, I guess.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so I'll read this one more time. It says, tell your volunteers that you're perfectly innocent, but someone has imagined one or both of you to have committed a slight or a crime and are now coming for satisfaction. Take time to ask questions to set the stage, and then begin play by establishing where you are precisely when your enemy finds you. Where have you been studying on this ship?
I mean, I would assume that it's in whatever cabin we share, or somewhere below decks that people don't go frequently, like the bilge. I will 100%, cross a palm with some silver to try and keep some people away. But that doesn't mean that they won't like have rumors. I mean, I am after all a necromancer, and I am going down there with like things like bladders full of blood. So it's not really savory work, and I assume that there can be plenty of superstitions, and they can blame us for anything from being becalmed to some sea monstrosity to strange islands or being off course. I don't know. Like, what should we ask volunteers? How many sailors are coming, and what is it that they're accusing us of?
Good question. Good question. Judd, I have a thought.
Yeah, I've got some too. You go first, because usually when I have a thought, your thoughts are that complement them, and then I can riff off that. So you go.
So there's this thing that I saw when I was like 14.
Ooh, this is gonna be good.
Yeah, right. So like, a whole bunch of families that my dad knew. We all went down the coast to like this big old like 1800s like manor house that they rent out to groups of like 30 families, or because it's got like 60 rooms or some shit. So we all go down there to the beach, and then one night we notice that there's a little like inlet kind of just down off on the manor grounds, and the sea out past the inlet was just all glimmering and like aglow with bioluminescence.
Nice.
And looked like intensely magical. And then the next morning, in the light of day, what we discovered is that the algae or like plankton or whatever the fuck kind of creatures these were red, which meant that it looked very much like the shoreline back, a good like 10 or 20 meters was just like bloody. And that was also very spooky. And so I suspect that last night, weird, sparkling lights began to appear in the waters around the boat that looked, very much like the constellations overhead, and everyone was a little bit spooked by this, but like, it could have been any number of, there was like some people were like, oh, it's a terrible omen, and other people were like, no, it's the blessing of the star gods. But then the morning came, and it looked like the seas around the boat were awash with blood. And, whichever sailor Strash had crossed the palm of to get access to the brig to do necromancy, 100% had told at least one other person. And so when, necromancer on board doing spooky blood magic and seas filled with blood kind of intersected in the minds of the sailors on board, they didn't feel positively.
Yeah, I imagine not.
About the experience.
Yeah, I do imagine not. All right, so...
What do you think, Judd?
Yeah, I love it. I think, and the first clue that something is wrong is, in order to have a trial, it is tradition that the anchor is let down, and the sails are stopped. Like, just everything stops, and I think the anchor is dropped, and the old sailor who drops it like turns to the younger sailor next door and says, we shouldn't stay stopped in the blood sea, in these bloody seas for too long, and it's a trial. We've got to. She's like, this is bad. I don't know about this choice. And and then I think we see a posse of sailors going to knock on the door of the thief in the necromancer's room.
Yeah, I think the second mate is the bailiff in
Nice.
this kind of like because this is a thing that like real pirates did. They used to do court larps to pass the time at
Right.
sea, and try
I'm
each
sorry,
other. For
did you
the
say
charge of-
court LARPs?
Yeah. They used to
Okay.
like try each other, practice being tried for the crime of piracy. Was like a genuine like pirate kind of like way of passing time at sea. And so yeah, I think the second mate traditionally becomes the bailiff in this strange custom.
Someone has written that LARP, right? I gotta like really.
God,
No,
God,
but
I
Jason
hope so.
Morningstar is doing it right now.
I
don't know.
Hit me up in my DMs. We'll talk about it. But yeah, so I think it's like it's the second mate / bailiff, and then yeah, you reckon like what half dozen sailors, Judd?
Yeah. Totally.
Makes sense. If you're going after a necromancer, it's like you need some, bodies with you just in case things go wrong.
They all have a handful of salt to throw in the necromancer's face if it becomes
Nice.
necessary.
Nice.
I love it. It's so Oberdin. Is it Aubergine?
Oberdin, that phenomenal
good.
game.
Oh
Yeah.
my god, so good.
Cool. I think that there's just a moment of, can I help you, sailors?
Oh, and I have a question for the volunteers. Is it like what's the time of day and like the weather going on right now?
Well,
like,
it's day, right? Like, it has to be daytime because the seas are red, but yeah.
Yeah, we can see that now. Because we can get away with this because it's like a pulp novel. I think it is like midday, just about perfectly, and coincidentally, like right as the anchor is dropped and like the sails are like pulled up, the wind just goes dead, and the ship is just like becalmed.
Oh, that's so good. You can hear
In
like
the
the
bloody
eerie,
becalmed in the bloody seas is the name of this short story about the thief and the necromancer.
Nice.
So good.
Lauren and Strash, I have a clarifying question for the two of you.
Go
As
ahead.
far as this boat goes, this ship, sorry, to the nautical enthusiasts in the audience. Is this like, are you two the only two passengers on board, and then otherwise it's just sailors, or is this like I don't know what the word, like is this a passenger ship? Is this a merchant ship? Is this like a naval ship?
So the last place we were in was the land of salt flats and tree gods. And I think that it's actually a ship from across the sea, which tells me that it's probably a merchant ship. You don't go to a place like that to like get repaired or like set up some sort of like naval outpost. It's like it didn't have that like nice fortified defend the seas kind of feel to it. So I feel like it's some sort of merchant vessel, or
Of course, that's why the sailors all are able to have a handful of salt to throw at the necromancer if they need to. Because
yeah.
the hold is full of salt.
all right. Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah. Obviously, because that's what you
Like,
get
it's
from
the
the
main
salt
export
flats.
of the
Duh.
salt flats.
Yeah. I mean, of course. Lauren, what do you think about this? Does this make sense? Like we made a deal with some merchant vessel to transport us. Does that sound fair?
Yeah, I think it makes total sense. Yeah.
And I mean, these I was about to call them pirates. These sailors can be as savvy as need be. Of course, the seas are rough and full of dangers. So, but yeah, I think I just want to know what they want, right? Like, why are you folks pestering me? Is basically my position here.
I'm quickly fanning out incense in the background.
Yeah. I mean, did they like bring irons, or they just have like blades drawn and are just like out this way, or like what's the general
their
attitude
approach?
here?
Yeah.
What do you think, Judd?
I think it's a trial. I think they're not seen as guilty yet. Yeah, I think it's like, hey, you got to come up. They're like ready for a fight, but they don't want to fight, and they're, especially because there might be witchcraft. So yeah, I think they've got their weapons at the ready, but they're like, you can come quietly. There's nothing more democratic than what we're going to be doing here.
I look at the thief. Okay, this is amazing. I look at the thief in case she has better ideas, but I'm not about to try and fight a handful of salty sea dogs, as it were. To I think we're probably outnumbered, and moreover, let's say that we win that fight. Where do we go? It's not like I know how to sail a ship, so.
Yeah, I think it makes sense to go along with it. Also, don't worry, my family probably has like a litany of lawyers that I'm descended from, so surely I can be your legal representative if things go badly.
I am suddenly very afeared for my life, but all right. Excellent.
All right, I've got it. The trial of the thief and the necromancer, becalmed in bloody seas.
All right. I think I look at everyone and I'm just like, very well, lead the way. I'm more bemused than anything. I think I probably like reach for my staff or something, and like if they look nervous, I'll just set it back and be like, it's all right. I don't need it. It's fine.
It's just for aesthetics, you know. Gotta look the part.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm gonna go up with them and just, they can look as nervous as they want and hold as much salt as they want. It's not gonna matter. I'm not planning to ghost at them, so.
When they throw, you should be like, I'm belting, and then punch them or something.
But no, I actually have a spell that allows me to like fade. So like if they throw salt at me, I might just vanish.
Oh, that's
We'll
even
see.
cooler.
No, I'm disappearing. Whoosh. All right. It's a very dangerous spell, though. If it fails, it can really mess the character up. So all right, yeah, let's do the thing.
Calmly go with them, yeah.
Yeah, great.
Volunteers, where do they take us? What does this sea courtroom look like?
Is it like on
I
the deck
imagine-
or?
Yeah, I imagine it has to be on the deck, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it could be in the like mess hall with the tables and stuff. I don't know. Oh, okay, on the deck it is.
gotta be on the deck.
Of course.
I think the captain in the role of judge is presiding from the crow's nest,
Nice.
Okay.
and it has like a
Oh.
oh god, what am I thinking of? Like a marlin spike or something in place of a gavel that gets like banged on the railing around.
Very
And then
cool.
I don't know about you, Judd. I really like Sandrilan's suggestion in chat that there's like this
Yeah.
7 jury.
Oh yeah, I was going to quote that. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's sick.
I would just Sandrayan in chat says if there's a jury, there could be 7 of them, one for each direction, one for the sea, one for the winds, and one for the sky. The only change I would make to that is rather than have winds and sky, is I would just have the winds kind of encompass the sky, and then like the last one is an often nebulous figure. Like sometimes it's death, sometimes it's like it's just kind of the hooded strange figure, and it can mean different things on different ships and different seas.
Like fate or like
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think in this context, it probably stands for something along the lines of like safe harbor,
Nice.
right? And like the hope that the ship is gonna make it. Because right now, everyone's a little concerned about that one.
Yeah, and you probably don't want to pile strange on strange, right? You're already trying a necromancer or a witch or whatever they think,
Yeah.
a sorcerer or whatever they're thinking.
I am not a wizard. I'm only a necromancer. Please.
Oh my god!
And an apprentice at best.
Here we go though. I don't. There are 7 members of the jury, but they're not fixed positions. There are like objects that let you speak for each juror role, and then there's just a whole rabble of crew who, as they feel like it, pick one of them up and become that juror temporarily. Like, I think this is a very kind of anarchic, largely non-hierarchical kind of affair where, yeah, it is kind of as much to appease the mob's fears but also to give them something to do. You know, like it's been a week and a half. Everyone's kind of bored.
Totally.
It's been safe sailing so far, and they're just like a bit antsy.
Yep. I mean, I think I like the idea of it being not hierarchical. I think the judge up in the crow's nest was put there because they were tried and found guilty, or maybe not guilty. They were tried and found not guilty of piracy, and so like that gives them the most courtroom experience of anyone else on the ship. So it's like, you're the judge. Congratulations.
Yeah, I guess. Like, yeah, and like I wonder if it is like the jury. We keep saying judge and jury as though the powers of these roles are analogous. I don't know that they are. I think this person is the judge in the sense that they like oversee the procedural qualities of the trial. I don't think they are in charge of sentencing. I think sentencing and like guilt and like all of that is the jury. This is not a judge with any power. This is just a judge whose job is to be like, okay, like quiet down there, please, juror of the wind, juror of the sea, stop having a shoving match with that person because you want to be juror of the north. Necromancer, sorry, you've talked enough. We want to hear from the thief now. Like, I think that's the role of the judge in this kind of situation.
It's got to be proper, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it. Thief, have you ever been on trial before?
Good question. I've probably been like on unofficial trial, wherein like yeah, you know, like people trying to figure out who stole what or something like on this. Yeah, I don't think I've ever officially been in court, but oh no, I retconned that. I think like if I come from a crime family, it makes sense to have members who are lawyers and people like in the judiciary. So I think I have been in court. I've not been tried, but I think I've sat in like in the what's it called? Like this sort of audience.
Yeah.
And
in the stands.
see in the stands, like see my family members like try people for crimes and stuff. And maybe that was gonna be like a career potentially, but
and Necromancer, and Necromancer, is there like an inter-Necromancer court system for when someone steps out of bounds? The I don't know, executioner of Blue Jasper or something?
Holy cow. Yeah, let's establish that. I think that actually there is probably a council of necromancers of the order that I am part of, but there isn't a trial. Huh?
The High Masters or whatever.
Yeah. And they probably have like whoever the heck the leader of the cult circle study group whatever is of the order, like whoever the high muckety muck of the order is probably gets like the tiebreaker vote, but or even potentially has all the power and the rest are only advisors. But I think that whatever trials there may be are not seen by apprentices. It like maybe one of them would take them in on a lesser case to the debates or whatever, but they definitely have they make decisions. We are not told how they came about that decision. You either accept that they will be right or you try and stay largely out of their way. And no doubt they have some very scary undead thing that is their assassin, which I love the idea of the executor of Blue Jasper as kind of a choice, terrifying thing that I have no doubt we will meet in the not too distant future. Because we haven't actually had our crime family, or the order catch up to us yet, and that looms on the horizon, no doubt. So yeah, I don't know that I know that such things exist, but it's not generally a fair system because most legal systems have not traditionally been fair for a long time, and it's one of those, why be a wizard if you don't have power, and therefore they flex their muscles, right? So.
Cool. Love it. Yeah, I think like when people look back on these short stories and don't know who the writer was, they wonder like, why was it like in the first X number of stories, like they just never dipped into the obvious hooks of the necromancers and the hunting family, and there are literary theorists who think that the writer just wrote it in a big hurry and forgot, and then like went back when people started writing letters into, you know, Pulp Planet magazine, like, hey, when are we going to see, you know, the who's hunting the thief and the necromancer and the necromancers and the order. And
yeah, that's so and so side character who, you know, like gave the thief a weird look in the market way back in Garnet. Like, was that person secretly a plant for the thief crime family? And then
they are now. God,
yes, it's a brilliant idea.
Yes.
So that said, are we dragged before this courtroom of 7 plus the judge?
Yeah.
Escorted.
Not, I see.
This is civilized.
After all.
Of course. And I think there is a weird quality of sincerity, like, because of the legal system that we live in and the moment that we are living through. I think it's very easy to hear words like, you know, fair trial and like democratic and like kind of like feel really cynical about it. But like, I genuinely think these sailors like actually do believe in a very wholehearted fashion in like an egalitarian kind of like system of justice that establishes, you know, the truth of what really did happen. And like,
that's cool. I don't, because the masters definitely didn't implement that.
Oh, for sure.
So I will 100% be the jaded cynic.
Oh, for sure. I just like, for the audience, I just want to color that, like, you know, there's no secret like sarcasm on my part when I say that, like, you know, like of course they don't like drag people, they escort people. Like, you haven't done anything wrong yet. Right now, you are accused. You are not guilty.
That's certainly more generous than certain cities we've been in.
Yep.
So,
right.
I actually looked at Thief and I with kind of a, is there a thing I'm supposed to be saying look here? Oh, Lauren, you're muted.
Thank you. I think to clarify, have they said that like, oh, you're about to face trial, or are we still like, what do you want? like how clear are they being about like where we're going to and for why?
Judd, I reckon the bailiff was probably pretty clear.
Yeah.
Like, again, that seems like in the interest of fairness, like a thing that they'd be pretty keen on is like you knowing what's happening and why.
But maybe like the judge says, you know, he writes his, you know, somebody actually dug up a really shoddy, moth-eaten, powdered wig. And so like some sailor up in the crow's nest is wearing it as the judge. And he says to the bailiff, like, you know, announce the charges. And he goes, I told them on the way up. And he goes, yeah, but this is the courtroom. You should tell them again.
Right, yeah, sorry. Passengers, you stand accused of the crime of being invited on board the vessel in exchange for a small gratuity, and then betraying the trust of the crew and the laws of hospitality by working, and he just kind of like waves in the vague direction of the necromancer, dark magics that have becalmed the wind, and he almost like gets ahead of himself and like turns to the current jurors, as you can feel, becalmed the winds. And as you would see across the side, across port and starboard, bloodied the seas. And we know from the testimony of old Jeff, and he like gestures to a one-eyed pirate who is currently a juror, that some bloody business was going on down in the brig. So, yes, the charges are foul necromancy, sea bloodying, wind stealing, and general reckless endangerment of the crew.
I think that
Thank you, Your Honor.
I think the thief like is in the necromancer's ear, so like, okay, like you don't have to say anything. Like you're innocent until proven guilty. They have to prove it as part of habeas corpus and a little bit of dicta, and nothing starts like, using some like, random Latin that they've picked up from the courtroom. And it's like, I think like puts a comforting hand on your shoulder and says like, I'll find us a way out. Like while you know, don't worry, we'll have a plan B, C, D if this all goes wrong.
I think the Necromancer looks at the sheer amount of sailors on board and says, good, because I don't have an easy way out of this. Actually, no. I think the Necromancer looks at you and says, if it gets really bad, give me the nod and I will vanish. And all you have to do is sneak some food down into the bilge.
I think like that you read my mind like as a player and a character because yeah, I was like, I'll get some kind of like dinghy ready with some food and stuff, and we'll be fine. So I can. If I it's very dangerous, so I would rather not do it. But if I have to, I can vanish from sight. I can remove myself from their senses. So, yeah. All right. Take it away, Thief. This is mostly your scene. If you want to prance about and say stuff, I'm happy to answer questions. But most of my answers are just like, steal the wind. Are you kidding? I'm not a wizard. I'm a necromancer.
I wish I could do something like that.
Yeah, that would actually be handy. I'd give it right back.
Well, ooh. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Do we want? I guess what's more interesting? Do we want to like have the necromancer defending themselves to the jury while I try and get some stuff together, or is it more interesting to have like a bullshit court scene where I pull out of my ass?
It's actually up to you. So like we technically control the drive here, right? Because like the pattern of play is we say stuff, we do stuff, and then when we don't know answers, we ask the volunteers for we question the volunteers for details and flavor and all that other stuff. So like I don't know. Do you have a preference here, DeLorean?
Question. Just wondering, do I have any moves about being a lawyer?
You can disarm a situation with grace and calm.
I was about to say, you do have a form of de-escalation as well, if I recall.
I do. Oops.
You can also draw people out of a crowd and form them into an attentive audience, which might be helpful.
That's very true. Okay, so
I think you got some options.
It's not really my forte. I can turn invisible or scare people. I don't think either will improve the situation.
Yeah, then I think then it makes sense to step in it and be your lawyer. Oh god.
All right, here we go. Everyone get your fancy hats on. I do just want to establish very clearly for everyone, because I think it's important, that the wig that the sailor in the crow's nest who is the judge is wearing is not a judge wig. It's just a random wig that they had on board. Nice. But it's like, yeah, it's as close as we can get.
Yeah,
there's
it's
points
totally
for trying.
Yeah. It's like a bleached blonde wig that they're using as a white wig.
They've like dusted some salt on it to make it look white.
Totally.
Yeah,
Totally.
I'll try a crowd from a throng to take an imposing posture, projecting my voice, and put on an appealing, commanding presence to draw an attentive audience. Which I think is a slight, I believe, is nimble and patient. I believe is a 4. So I've got to roll a 4 under.
So you're trying to get everyone's attention on you, and you want to command it with charm and strength of personality, yeah?
Yeah,
Turn
totally.
them from a mob into an audience.
Yeah, like I will have grabbed the jacket on our way in and have like put it on, and like I'm holding the like jacket like sort of things here, and yeah.
Yes, like real professional lawyers do in the courtroom.
Oh yeah, that was the first thing I learned in law school.
This is it, Lauren. That's why this right here.
This is where your degree actually comes into play.
Okay, I got one success. I rolled a 2.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess on a hit, I draw an audience. I ask my volunteers how many they number, and tell them that it should be proportionate to my roll. So I got a 2. So,
Mm.
and I can give some theatrics if you like.
Well, you do have to promise them a show in order to do this, so.
Yeah.
Oh,
Spectacle,
yes.
diversion, or attraction.
That's my middle name. And maybe I can pull out some like very fancy looking evidence, like and do like the kind of like, well, if he was here and they were there, couldn't possibly be like sort of reenacted and like be very like theatrical about the presentation of evidence.
Yeah, Judd, I have some thoughts on what proportionate to your role means here.
Yeah. Go for
Which
it.
is to say that, like, we know that, like, on the number is the best, and 1 is always the worst as far as success goes. And a 2 out of 4 is not it's not great.
It's not bad.
It's not bad, but it's not
It's not
great.
good. It's not great.
So I wonder if the thing here isn't that, like, you have the rapt attention of all of the people on board, and also some kind of a spooky thing in the ocean is also
wow.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's like a sea serpent or like a whale or like another kind of big spooky Leviathan type thing, but like I think something out there in the water has also been drawn. Maybe by the bloody water, maybe by the necromancy, maybe by your speech. Like, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
But certainly right now you're putting on a show, and, the motion and the noise has drawn its attention.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, Judd, what kind of a, like, weird sea thing do you think it is?
Oh, I think it's an intelligent sea thing that is angry that this necromancer is getting credit for its work. Right?
Oh, now we've got an IP battle going on top of it.
Yeah.
I love that the
Very
Necromancer is
good.
completely clueless. It's
Yeah,
just like,
I love that this is 10 times more fair than any of our Deskball court scenes. This is like so much more less corrupt than any Blaze in the Dark court scenes I've ever seen.
Strush, unfortunately, you left the Order of Tam before you could do Necromancy at Sea 301, which is the course in which you would have learned all about.
oh, of course.
Specific dangers.
But I you know what this feels like? There's this meme where it's like the 2 angry women and the cat in front of like a salad, and so like this is like that. They're just like, you are evil down to the depths of the ocean. You are evil. There's a thing in the depths that's like, what are you doing to me? And I'm still sitting there like, huh? I don't know. I can't do any of the things you're accusing me of. What is going on? So.
Judd, I have an aesthetic thought
Yeah.
for the sea thing.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what shape the sea thing is. I'm very curious what you think about that. But I just remember, and Lauren, this is a deep cut and a shout out to you, because I know you're going to get this one. I remember in the live ship Traders,
Yes.
the sea serpents in that have this super dope thing where they have all of these like frills and like barbells and shit that like exude like venom and like kind of pheromones when they like shake them as a way to like communicate, but also like stun prey and shit. And like whatever this big intelligent sea thing is, I think it has this like dope mane of like frilly bits, and when it shakes them, all of these like whatevers that have made the water sparkly and bloody, like I think that's where they come from. They come from the mane of this creature when it like shakes its big head.
Oh, that's so cool. I can picture it too in the water being very like caught up in the flow of the water, and then you sort of out of the water, it's like, but like
It looks kind of like kelp, maybe like blood red kelp.
Ooh, love it.
What kind of a maned creature is it, Judd? Is my question.
I've got an image, and I don't know where it's coming from, and it's really strange. So it's an image of one of those fish with like the lanterns.
The anglerfish, yeah.
But
Yeah.
but the lantern isn't a lantern. It's like it is. it's like a person shape that it can like put onto the either the land or onto a ship
Oh
and like
no,
communicate
I am
through it.
struggling.
Yeah,
Flop,
yeah,
flop,
yeah.
flop, 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 flop. Help! Chomp. Yes.
Right.
Yeah, that's sick.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I've got.
Yeah, and so maybe like the length then of the big barbell that the the lure hangs on is like lined with this like all these anemone type like tentacles that like release this like weird chemical bioluminescent whatever the fuck it is. I'm not a scientist.
Yeah, that's okay. This isn't
They
hard
make
sci-fi.
they make
I
the
think
water
we're good.
sparkly. I don't fucking know.
Yeah,
Like,
you're a poet. It's like a million
Yeah.
times more important.
thank you. Yeah, this is why I'm bad at sci-fi games and good at fantasy. I just like it just a thing happens.
Oh my god, I feel that very much. Sorry.
That's interesting.
Cool.
Yeah.
So is the jury like? I picture that classic scene where I deliver like this line, and the jury's like, and I'm like, I did it, and then I realize, oh, like no, I didn't do it. It's something else in the water.
Well, I think building on what Judd said, just because like I can't resist myself, I think the lure is like at the back of the crowd of sailors, like on deck,
Oh, very cool.
and just like faintly, if you look properly, you can see this like trailing like tentacle coming off its back and like down into the water.
Yeah, yeah.
But yes, the jury are paying very close attention
to me or to the
to you,
Oh, excellent.
including
yeah.
the lure. The lure is staring very intently at you.
Nice. I feel
Well, no,
like I
actually,
look,
the lure is staring at the necromancer. I think we're going to be fair here. The lure is glaring at the necromancer. The crowd is staring at you, except for two sailors who are currently fighting over who gets to be the juror of the East. But they're sort of paying attention. They're like elbowing each other and like trying to like, like get it like between the two of them, whatever the object is.
ooh. I'm guessing I don't know what this lure is. I don't think I'm a very coastal person. So, and I guess depending upon how much the lure like looks like a person, I could picture myself looking to the left and then back at the jury, like, is this another juror there?
But how on a scale of like 1 to 10?
how much of a human is this
Yeah.
looking?
Well, how convincing do you think it is?
The lore?
Yeah.
Oh, I think if you take a hard look, you're gonna know pretty fast.
It's like a 7.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess this
Yeah,
it's like if I'm not like paying too close of attention, if I'm like trying to
Yeah. If it stays at
Okay.
the back of the crowd, everything should be good. But especially if anyone touches it, like I think it's got all these folds of skin of different modeled skin that like give the impression of clothes, but are actually just part of its like flesh.
Yeah.
Like if anyone brushes against it, they're definitely gonna realize something's up.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Ooh. I'm wondering if like if it's like kind of human but not human. I'm wondering if I could pull the whole like members of the jury. Have you considered the possibility that the criminal is amongst
one of
us?
you.
That's one of you,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a good trick.
It is, but I don't think that there is a sway roll. I think this is just one of those things that how good are you at throwing yourself onto the whims of fate? I am terrible at this game.
Is a good question.
So long as you keep your dignity, that's all that matters.
I mean, there's exerting yourself with grace and calm to disarm a situation, right?
Yeah.
There is always that. Totally. There's so many cool moves I'm trying to figure out. I got too many choices.
Yeah.
Okay, here's maybe some context. Like I think, Lauren, as like, you finish your bit, you draw the crowd, they're all paying attention to you as you like finish your like, whatever the fuck it's called, your like opening address.
Mm-hmm.
And then the judge kind of like, like nods and like bangs the marlin spike on the railing, and it like gets stuck, and he has to like pull it out, and then like bangs it again, but like upside down this time. And it was like, all right, bailiff, you may now introduce your first witness. And so the bailiff calls old Jeff to kind of like testify that, yes, indeed, the necromancer did pay him a small sum of money, which, yes, through the nightly gambling, he did share, as is right and proper with the rest of the crew, in exchange for yada yada, and like this, the first act of the trial kind of proceeds. To give some context for like whatever decision you're about to make.
I guess I'll put this question to my Necromancer too. Like, I'm guessing you're like where they would hold the accused on the deck,
the stand or whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I assume I'm. Yeah.
Have you noticed the strange lure person?
I feel like I don't have a whole lot to do here. There's a lot of people yelling, and among other things, I don't actually understand the full context of the situation, and I have a plan for if things go awry. So I trust my friend the thief, and I'm looking around. If Judd says that you can pretty much notice it in no time, the necromancer does, but doesn't call too much attention to it. Like, if the thief looks at the necromancer will look at it and back. But I don't want to be like, hey, there's a horrible monstrosity in the middle of these proceedings, because I'm worried that they're going to be like, and it's your fault! And I'm like, oh, great. So
It is a problem.
I'm mostly being quiet and being like, what's the play here, friend lawyer, faux lawyer? I don't know.
It's a good question.
Yeah, I think a couple of sailors start arguing about whether or not a necromancer could legally be allowed to call a dead person to the stand. And like that sidelines things for a bit until the judge gets things in order.
The bailiff makes an offhand reference to like a dead member of the crew who is like a real expert in cases like this, and then it's like,
right.
Well, like, yeah, we do have the necromancer.
I think the necromancer, like, if this is derailing the proceedings to any effect, I think the necromancer actually speaks up and says, like, I don't want to mess up the order of things, but one, I can't steal wind. Two, I can't bloody seas, and I don't know of any necromancer that can. And three, old Jeff definitely spoke the truth. As a matter of fact, I still have the bilge key, which I produce and show to everyone. And I say, mostly I wanted to stay out of everyone's hair, because the things I do are sometimes smelly and sometimes a little spooky. But I can't summon ghosts to this court or any other. I'm not even really a full necromancer. I'm an upjumped apprentice. So you can rest easy that you do not have to face ghosts in this courtroom. I promise. I do not need them as witnesses.
Yeah, and I think the bailiff like turns around to the rest of the court as though you've just like admitted to something. It's like, you see, this necromancer openly admits to doubting the courage and grit and fortitude of this crew. We have been on the sea. We're not afraid of spooky things. And it's like, yeah, what do you say?
I think, but a couple of the jurors are like very considerate for what I thought a necromancer would be.
Oh, of course.
I mean,
he did try to keep his bloody work out of our way. It's more than I can say for some of you lot.
And whichever sailor that's a subtweet of kind of like is like, oi!
I love that subtweeting is now a verb, right?
I could try and diffuse the situation with grace and calm. I don't know how well it'll go, but I could totally jump in and be like, I think at this point, like my thief not having that much legal expertise is like order, and like trying to like pull some stuff from the judge.
Yeah, the judge nods and is like, yeah, yes, that.
Like objection. I sustain what's going on right now. Like just using all. Yeah.
They're just like, granted. Quiet down, everyone. Quiet down.
God, I know this is gonna go really badly, but I'll do it. I would
Make
like
the
to
roll.
because, yeah, because I care about my Necromancer French, and I want to represent them as best as I can in a little court of law.
I think that you and I both understand that you're going to represent me as best as you can, but sometimes things will
The
go
dice
south.
allow you to.
So yeah, I'll roll to like diffuse the situation, and we'll see what happens. So I think I have I think a two in that, so I got to roll 1 or a 2. Let's see. Oh, I rolled a 6.
It goes
There's none
not
successes.
well.
On
Well,
a
what
miss.
happens on a failure? Because all of these moves actually have failure states.
Yeah, so on a miss, I get to choose one from the list under Grace and Calm, but I can't keep my calm. My hand strays to a weapon, or my voice raises, or I look like I'm about to make a run. Ask the volunteers how they react. So I think I think the one I will choose is, let's see. I think I explained to them my circumstances and intentions, and that they'll consider them calmly, and if they judge them legitimate, accept them. But I think it's perhaps like an erroneous case of like my fellow juror, like my fellow people. Like, have you not noticed that our necromancer has been on trial for some? I guess it's been like an hour, maybe, or 2 hours setting up and stuff to get this court ready. Maybe an hour, and yet, despite the lack of practice of necromantic arts, things have still happened. The wind is still calm. The sea is still red, and I think that's when, like, I point to like the lore thing there, and like and this, whatever this is, this foul, awful. I think like sort of digs down into like the negative verbs, negative adjectives. Like, this thing here is definitely not a product of my client's expertise. So I think that's what I'll draw attention to the thing.
Yeah.
And is
I think
is
there's
that
there's a sailor like right in front of it who's like, that's harsh. And he thinks you're pointing right at him.
Very good.
yeah, and is like,
Yeah, the necromancer's like
pointing out-
one to the right, one to the right.
is pointing out the lure what like not being able to keep your calm looks like. They'll learn.
Your other right.
Yeah, I think that's where it's kind of getting at. Like, yeah, yeah. Because they might be like, this is bullshit. Of course, the necromancer summoned this, and this is part of trying to get out. So, but
Judd, I have a thought
Yeah.
to run by you. Is it just me, or does it seem like, as like, if I imagine I'm a sailor, put on my sailor hat, I feel like a good survival strategy at sea would be not being rude to strange, spooky stuff. Like, that feels like it would be a pretty good policy.
That's fair.
And so maybe that, like, like, yes, like, the sailors are willing to accept the thief's case. Like, yes, in fact, maybe the necromancer isn't guilty, but also they're like, whoa, like, you insulting that, like, spooky sea god, like, wow, you went way too far there. Like,
how dare you?
Now we all need to appease the sea god, because otherwise it's all going to go horribly wrong.
It's very much like, I can insult my family, but you can't.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no landlubber should be speaking ill of the sea.
Yes.
Oh, nice. Yeah, and I think the juror who is, the juror of the sea, like, people look to them and are like, an emissary from the sea is here. You should.
Yeah, it's your job.
It's kind of your job.
You picked it up, and anybody else want? No.
I think it's like a beard made out of like dried kelp. Is
Lovely.
the sea juror prop. Yeah, and so this young woman, she's like, well, like 19 or something. With this like incredibly dope seaweed beard, just
Very
looks like
cool.
she would rather be literally anywhere else. as John, what do you think the voice of the lure / the creature? What do you think it sounds like when it talks?
Yeah, like someone drowning, like someone gargling water in
Yeah.
their lungs.
Very creepy. But yet so alluring and
Yeah. It says
Does it even speak, or does it make like noises?
no, it can talk
Oh, goodness. All right.
amidst the noises. It says like credit has been stolen. And then it like raises one like, swollen, puffy, pallid like arm, and like points a like boneless finger at the necromancer and say like, payment is owed.
I think I would like to say, like, Your Honor, my client has never seen this being in their life, and so therefore cannot owe a debt to them. This is prejudicial.
Do you want me to take care of it? I say, like, looking vaguely up at the crow's nest, pointing at the thing.
The court doesn't understand what you mean by take care of it. Accused.
Screw it. And I think I just, like, reach a hand forward and I'm gonna cast a spell.
Awesome.
Oh,
Do it.
Yeah,
He's like, oh god.
I gotta try my new
my
spell
learning
here.
career.
This spell is called Unreasoning Terror. It allows me to visit unreasoning terror upon someone's psyche. So, too bad you can talk there, person. Here we go. D6 less than 4. No. What happens when I miss? They are not overcome, but they do leap in sudden fear. Ask your volunteers what they do next.
oh God.
Well,
How do you think? Are you
tried.
thinking what I'm thinking?
I don't know. What do you
Does the
think?
rest of the does like the body of the fish like
Under the
jump out of
ship?
the water?
Yeah. that was definitely my thought. Yeah, so I think like the ship shudders as not the lure, but like the actual body of this thing like flinches and hits the underside of the boat. And what do we think it does then, Judd? How does this thing... I imagine unreasoning terror is not a... sudden fear is not a thing this thing deals with often.
Right. Absolutely.
Does it just fuck off? Like...
I think it runs like hell. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
of
I don't
course.
magically compel it to run like hell, but I think my spell worked anyway. I'll take the credit now.
I think like a squid, though, I think it's like a 2-step strategy. So I think what happens first is, God, and this looks so unnatural, right? Like, up until now, the lure has been like, a reasonable pantomime of like a human shape obeying, like gravity-like phenomena and kind of like moving like in that way, and then it just suddenly starts like it's like someone picks up a ragdoll and just starts going Wah! Like that.
Yeah.
And just I think like venom, like paralytic venom, just starts like spraying off it like all over the like 20 sailors who are nearest to it. And like of course normally the the reason for this would be like the struggling sailor lure is in the water and someone dives in to get it and then like and then that person is now paralyzed and then the thing comes up and chomps them. But like in these self-defense situations it also stops pursuit, so it just like and like paralytic venom hits a bunch of people, their faces go numb, they like fall down on the deck as their legs stop working I guess. And yeah, this thing like just fucks off.
Does that mean, I have 2 questions. I assume that the seas continue being red because that is not it continuously producing redness. That is a dormant effect. But if it did steal the wind, does the wind return?
I think it does. I mean, I would think it whatever it was doing goes away, and like wind comes in, and a kind of a stormy wind comes in to fill the vacuum.
It could
You
also
know?
be that
What do you think of that, Luke? I'm sorry,
It's that. I
Strash.
think
Rock out.
just
What were you
just as
saying?
an idea, I'm not a volunteer, but it could have been blocking a current. It may not even be wind, but it could be motion of some sort.
Hmm.
I think it might be, I think it's both. Like I think yeah, like suddenly the current takes the ship again. The wind, the boat like rocks slightly as like the wind like hits hits at least the masts and like the rolled up sails, and all the sailors immediately, who can stand, are just like not interested in the trial anymore. They're like, we gotta catch that wind while the going's still good and get out of this blood sea. But here's a thought, John.
Mm-hmm.
Because like the thing I keep kind of wondering and asking myself is, where did this thing come from?
I mean, the sea is vast and deep, yeah?
Well, yes, true. But I wonder if this isn't some kind of plasmic servitor of a wizard who lives upon the coast of the continent that you are,
Ooh.
rapidly approaching.
Nice.
And so I think as the winds come rushing back in, it carries with it, like just a couple of pieces of paper that kind of like flutter down and like land on the deck, like in front of the Necromancer.
Oh,
And it's like
okay.
it's like a page or two from the private journal of this wizard, and like a half-written letter to like a learned colleague.
All right. That's awesome. I need an object
Yeah.
from a wizard, so if this is one of those, I'm gonna write a little note for myself.
Oh, nice.
I also, I happen to have the Barbarian's Bloody Quest open. So
Do you want to name this wizard, which is what that
yeah,
is
so I'm
for?
like, what if I name this wizard? Like,
Go ahead.
all right, Judd. I have two thoughts on a title for this wizard. Actually, I have three thoughts. I think their name is definitely what's a really good name here? God bless you, Vincent. Their name is definitely Kendovan. And then the
Such a
three
good name.
titles that I am attracted to are Of the Placid Sky, Of the Sighing Waters, or The Sky Eater.
I mean, if something can kill the wind, all three of these sound awesome.
Yeah. Sky Eater is pretty cool, though.
Kendovan of
it's-
the Sky Eater.
Kendovan the Sky Eater.
Oh, yes, okay.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. Does the order that Kendovan belongs to have what is it called when you're guilty in one nation, but like, and you can get sent
An
you can get sent
extradition
home?
treaty.
Yeah. Do they have an
Yeah.
extradition treaty with the Necromancers?
How do weather workers feel about necromancy? I suppose is the operative question.
I mean, if I may, as the resident necromancer, I don't think that too many wizards have separate truck with each other if they're not not of the same studies, but Kendovan could easily be the brother of one of the necromancers, perhaps even the high necromancer. So there could be some favors and extraditions owed because I'm interested in these misadventures.
Oh my god.
Nice.
He is the estranged husband of the High Necromancer of the Order of Tam.
Sure.
And the half-written letter is to the Master of your old order.
There we go.
And it's like partly business and also partly the kind of awkward, the awkward Facebook message that you send your ex, like, 2 years later or whatever. Like,
Sorry to hear one of your apprentices went renegade. I'm sure you'll track them down and bring them to justice and force their skull to serve you in your.
No.
P.S. Did you ever find that amulet I left? I really need it for my current studies.
no, there has been no sighting of them in the lands controlled by our order. It is, it offends me that you would suggest that I would keep such news from you for the sake of a petty squabble, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, like...
Well, this gives us something to leverage in case there is an actual interaction with this wizard in the future. Cool. I do need wizard stuff, so I don't mind interactions with wizards, but does that wrap up our trial at sea? The Thief and the Necromancer trial at sea, or trial
think
in
so.
Bloody Sea.
It's like Your Honor, I rest my case. Like as soon as like all this shit goes down, like Necromancer saved us, clearly not bad. Like what more proof do you need?
I think the judge has already like taken the wig off and is just like clambering around in the rigging, being productive. But the bailiff turns to you and is like, "As a show of good faith," and then they kind of like trail off and like look at the like half the crew lying insensate on the deck. And there's an unspoken, and also because we kind of need you, they're like, "As a show of good faith, we would appreciate if the advocate for the defendant would help to get the ship underway."
I think I'm secretly like, oh, I've won 100% of my court cases. Like, I think I'm very, like, A, kind of proud about this, and B, a bit disappointed that it's over. So I think I'll keep the jacket on for now, and I'll enjoy this fantasy for a bit longer.
Amazing.
Nice.
Cool. Do we want to do another spawning circumstance? Do we want to take a brief break and then come back and do a spawning circumstance?
I guess a small break sounds good.
All right,
I think
let's
time for a break.
hang on. In my infinite wisdom, I have not. Oh wait, I lied. I may have set the thingy up. Ha ha. All right, folks. Yes, thank you so much, Past Josh. You're so good to me. All right, folks. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes with a little bit more Thief and the Necromancer. I'm just gonna go make a cup of tea, and we'll see you all shortly. Hang around.